The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When John the Baptist heard in prison of the works of the Christ, he sent his disciples to Jesus with this question: "Are you the one who is to come, or should we look for another?" Jesus said to them in reply, "Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind will regain their sight, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have the good news proclaimed to them. And blessed is the one who takes no offense at me." As they were going off, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John. "What did you go out to the desert to see? A reed swayed by the wind? Then what did you go out to see? Someone dressed in fine clothing? Those who wear fine clothing are in royal palaces. Then why did you go out? To see a prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, 'Behold, I am sending my messenger ahead of you. He will prepare your way before you.' Amen, I say to you, among those born of women, there has been none greater than John the Baptist. Yet, the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he." The Gospel of the Lord.
Good afternoon, everyone. Have you ever been fooled by somebody? It's getting Christmas time, and so I'm kind of reminiscing various places in my life. And there was a time when I was in religious life, I think the first 3 years. It was about the third year because we moved from Loretto to Washington, D.C. And at our Christmas celebration, we exchanged gifts with one another. We pulled names out and exchanged gifts. One of the friars received a gift from another friar that was this shirt. And it must have been about a $40 shirt or something like that. Our limit was to spend $10 on it. And so he was just like, first of all, he was very thrilled that he got this gift. And then when he found out who he got it from, he felt really bad because he had the other person's name and only got him a $10 gift. He fretted about this for about 3 days. Finally, the other friar comes up and says, "You know that shirt you got for Christmas?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "When you weren't home, I went into your closet, reached in the back and got out a shirt you very rarely wear, ironed it, put it in the box and wrapped it up." I had to start evaluating whether I thought this one friar who I thought was holy was really holy, or was he just a prankster? People fool us all the time. I mean, think about the news when we hear some kind of atrocity that happens out there. And somebody's arrested or whatever for doing something, and the news media is out there and they get an interview with the neighbors. "We always thought he was a quiet, polite person. We would have never thought this happened, that he would be like this." As I was reading the gospel, I started thinking about that as well. Because John the Baptist is questioning who Jesus is. Now remember, he baptized Jesus and he saw the Spirit come down upon him. And he heard the voice of the Father say, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him." But all of a sudden, Jesus isn't really what John was looking for. He felt that he was being fooled. John the Baptist, as we heard last week, thought that God was going to be a God of vengeance, a God of wrath. Change your ways. The axe is lying at the root of the tree. And all of a sudden, he's hearing about a God who's got compassion, a God who's forgiving, a God who's going to the Samaritans, and it's not making sense to him. John almost missed who Jesus was because of his preconceived idea who he wanted God to be. What about us? How are we with God? Do we have this preconceived idea who God is? Do we think God's there to answer our prayers, that we control God by the things we say? Or are we there to serve him, no matter what the situation looks like? I think sometimes we can be like John. We're looking for something, and we don't see what God is actually doing in our midst. John almost misses God because of that different understanding. And that has happened in my life as well, more times than I can count. How I wonder where God is in this situation or that situation. How can God allow this or that to happen? Why isn't he there for me? And it's only after a number of years that hindsight, 2020 as it is, you can look back and you can say, oh, now I see. Now I understand. He was always there. He wasn't just leaving me alone. He was walking with me and getting me through it. Even with that hindsight, I have told many people, if I make it to heaven, I have a lot of questions to ask. Because there's so much that I don't understand of why things happen, either to me or to other people. Why is there war or poverty in the world? All those kind of questions. And yet God has a reason for it that we just can't see. Sometimes within our own family, I think we only see the divorces or the struggles or those kind of things. And we forget that Jesus understood suffering as well. Born in a cold stable, 11 days to go, just so you know. Suffering and death on the cross. Losing Joseph to death. He understood struggles. He understood sufferings. I had the privilege of speaking to a woman a couple months ago. She came to me and we had a conversation, and she was just going through a lot in her life. Economic things, hardships. I think she was just going through a divorce. She was questioning where God was in all these things. And I sat patiently and I listened, and I'm racking my brain praying, Lord, what do I say to her? What am I going to say that's going to make sense or that's going to touch her? And, nothing's coming. And finally, we get done, and I go back to what I revert to all the time in those kind of situations. Something about St. Therese of Lisieux, who said, gratitude. We need to have gratitude. We need to keep looking at the good things that God is doing for us, because we just keep focusing on the negative, we're going to spiral down. We're going to lose that faith. And so I said that to her, and she said to me, Father, there are sometimes it feels like I'm in the tunnel, and I see that train coming at me full blast. And I just sat there quietly, and all of a sudden she said, maybe I should thank God for the gift of eyesight, that I can see that train coming. That was a graced moment for me to hear her admit that maybe there's a different perspective that she needs to look at. Let's make sure as we go through this Advent season that we recognize that God is God and we're not. We're to serve him no matter what we're going through. So during the next 2 weeks, be attentive to your prayer life. Be attentive to those grace moments that happen that we so often take for granted. Take the time to listen and to watch how God is calling us to live and act in our lives. The more we do that, the more we're going to be prepared to meet Jesus at Christmas or at the end of our life.